The elementary school building committee met to discuss the new Elmwood School. Topics included new energy code regulations.
See that they're really looking at trying to push communities and push new projects down a full electrification road. The other things, the additions and alterations. 10 buildings are now going to be included in the new code for energy to capture the existing infrastructure, because there's they all understand that 80% or 90% of the buildings out there are actually existing buildings. So even though we're building these new buildings that have all these are energy or very good conservation, there's many buildings out there that are not. So that's one of the another one of the things they're trying to hit on is getting into the existing infrastructure that's out there. EV ready parking, they've increased the percentage up to 20% for new, this says new businesses, but it's new businesses and also properties like a school would be subject to. 10% is for the residential. And they'll have 2 prescriptive pathways to meet this through energy modeling. The first one is the Teddy I mentioned earlier, and the second one is passive house, which is a higher level of energy. It's kind of like the lead next step up. So those are the 2 ways that they're prescriptive pathways that they're allowing. We think this for Elmwood, we're going to end up going down the passive house modeling route, because right now there's a lot of questions about how the Teddy modeling is working and whether or not it's actually showing things accurately. So there's still a lot of conversations about how the Teddy modeling is going to show how the energy use is going to be, the demand will be reduced. The passive house modeling's been out there for a while, so that's the one that's a little more stable. People understand it, and that's the one I think that we would end up going down that road.
Traffic pattern was amongst the topics discussed at the meeting.
We did obviously collected a lot of data that we talked about again in previous meetings. While drivers are following the underlying speed limits of 40 miles per hour, there's a little bit less of a compliance when it comes to the lower 20 mile per hour requirement during school hours. We talked about the amount of traffic that's on Hayden Row Street. This is the hourly traffic flow northbound and in blue, and southbound in red or orange. And also we looked at how those peak times or peaks in traffic flow correspond to the school start and end times. And as we discussed on other occasions, the roadway traffic doesn't actually peak at the times when the schools start and end. It's actually the roadway peaks outside of those times. So a lot of the congestion that you see that you hear of during school times is not because of the number of cars that are on the street, but it's more about the turning traffic. Cars turning in and out of the schools, the crossing guard stopping traffic to let students in and out or across the street. It's that friction in the traffic flow that causes the rolling queues. It's not necessarily the volume. In fact, if you looked at the morning peak hour, for example, the time when Hopkins and Marathon start, just a little around 9 a.m., a little before 9 a.m., the actual peak happens well before that, around 7 o'clock in the morning. And around that time, you have 700 cars an hour traveling north on Hayden Row Street. At the time when Hopkins and Marathon start, there's barely 300 cars, so it's less than half the peak volume of traffic, but it's just the turning traffic at the driveways that you see as causing some of those congestion issues in that area.
The committee also discussed their proposal for a roadway improvement concept for the new school.
Today you only have the RRFB indications. It's just a flashing light, LED light that tells drivers that someone has pushed a button, but it's still an unsignalized crosswalk today. But with a full signal at this intersection, when a pedestrian, a student pushes a button at that crosswalk, all traffic comes to a full stop, and that helps significantly improve safety.
You can view the full meeting at our government website page, hcam.tv/gov.